But I really applaud you for growing continuously. You know, one foot in front of the other.
I've been seeing you for like a year now, right? I think it's been
1 year, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Baby, and how fast time goes, huh? Sometimes time doesn't exist, you know.
Right.
Time doesn't exist sometimes. You know, sometimes people say time is moving faster, and it's interesting enough because I don't know if it's moving faster because I am getting older, or is it moving faster for even for the younger people? Because when I was younger, I didn't sense the urgency of time, and now it's interesting. I sometimes wonder if our time does move faster as we age, or is it moving faster and we're not even noticing that.
I don't know if you have this like in the Middle East, but like Hispanic families are very much, they hide things from each other because they're trying to protect, or they're trying to do something honorable for someone, you know.
Yes.
But I'm like,
Yes, it's the same way. In fact, my grandmother was married 3 times as a Muslim woman, and we only thought it was 2 witches. Of course, oh my God.
yeah,
But and one time it's kind of slipped out of my aunt's mouth. My cousin said she was married 3 times, and then my aunt took it back because it was, some things just go to your grave with you, I guess. And it's not because she was, you know, marrying one man after another. No, it was because first man, maybe I think hit her. The other one was an alcoholic. The third one, who was 20 years older than her, was a nice man. That was the grandpa we knew.
yeah,
But so it was like that. It wasn't like she was out there just divorcing people.
Right,
But it was.
yeah.
But still, though, it was felt shameful.
Well, that's what I try to tell like my kids is, I mean, the truth always comes out.
Yeah, and truth sets us free.
It does. It does.
Truth sets us free, doesn't it? Honestly, you know.
It does. It doesn't eat us alive if we hide it from people, you know.
Isn't that something? And so often, you know, when Baby and I work with people here, and there is that fear. The fear, they're afraid to say something, they're afraid to speak up or change something because they are fearful of whatever their mind cultivated all those years.
The unknown.
The unknown, as if I find my voice, they might abandon me, they might kill me. As a child, I think we think this way. We grow up, when we're so little in these little bodies, we think, I have to be a good kid in order to get that inkling of love and care and food and little things, basic needs. And then we grow up like that, and then we learn not to talk. And the more we don't talk, it turns into guilt, it turns into shame, and that even keeps us more quiet. And then one day, you speak up, and you realized nothing happened. No one killed you, no one shot you, no one abandoned you. Yes, people may be upset, they might throw stones on your head. But the truth is painful even for them, I guess. So they'll come around, you know? Sometimes you know what, Fabian? Sometimes I wonder if the people are around us are meant to be around us, they will be around us. And it's not because of our behavior, but maybe it's of their own and what is right. I like to use sometimes a lot of case examples. I recently had a client whose 72-year-old mother moved out of her apartment with her because last 1 year she's been practicing boundaries with her mom, but of course that's not welcomed. And her mom moved out to live with her her sister, and and then the mom turned everyone kind of against her, pitting the children against each other, leaving, and which is kind of painful in a way. It was much easier to not speak up. It was much easier to let things be. But I think for a little while, if she just lets be, if they come to their own senses, they'll find their own inner peace. And for the time being, I told her, you just have to kind of pretend as if you're an orphan. Because they've kind of, all of them, walked away and talked bad of her and just awful things. Sometimes, you know what, the truth is painful. It's not easy, but the truth does set us free. And then we realize, honestly, we were stronger than we thought. We didn't crumble and die. For a few days she stayed in bed, she cried. And when her mother left the apartment, she took everything. She took even the little living room furniture and put it in a storage. She left 2 cups, no pots, and just left. And so I had to go there in person to see. And I walked in there, it was like bare floor. She had a bed, her own bed, which was good. So we went out and bought a couple pots for her so she can heat up things. So you know what, the truth is not always welcomed. And sometimes one person in a family carries the burden, the pain. And usually that's the person that may speak up and maybe ostracized, you know. But eventually I think, you know, if they just stay in that moment, find their own power and strength, you know, things work out.
Yeah.
And that's been your, what do you call it, life too. Standing on your own 2 feet.
Yeah, I recently had people in my life that just disappointed me or left me down, and it helped me realize that, you know, I am alone and I need to trust myself and just lean on my family, you know, and let them be the source of, let them be my partners, you know, because I had a guy, he loaned me some money to buy a monitor for so another guy, he didn't pay me for a monitor that I sold him, and he cheated me out of like, I think $500. And then I was buying this other monitor, that's why I was selling it to him, because I was getting an upgrade, like a professional video monitor. I think it's worth like $1,200, but I got it for $8. But the guy that was selling it to me, he needed, I knew that if I didn't make the decision, he would sell it or he would change his mind. So I asked a friend of mine who's good with money and things like that if he could send me the money. He said yes, and then afterwards, like, he was going to charge me interest. And like a year before that, I did a project with him, and he still owes me like $1,600 for that project, and I took a hit on that project for him. And it really like hurt me that he's wanting to charge me interest and wanting to charge me some other stuff when like I should have just kept the $800, like, because he owes me $1,600. But the fact that he didn't even bring that up or say anything just kind of, it helped me read the room. Like, is that someone I want to do business with? And so I'm over here like, I know in my heart, because of my abandonment issues and experiences, that if I want to go fast, I need to go alone. But if I want to go far, I need to go with people. But I haven't found the right people, you know. And it's like, but also like on that hand, it's like my wife is that person, you know. But I do want to keep it kind of separate. Like, I don't want her bring her into a lot of business things and things like that. So the thing has been is like, I need to trust myself in what I want to do, build my brand, and you know, and tell stories that I want to tell, you know, not really overthink them or try to make them a higher production quality by bringing other people on. I just need to go and do them myself, you know, make them very like raw and authentic and things like that. And so you know, but yeah, and I'm grateful though for.
So that was a $1,600 lesson for you that Jen taught you.
Yeah, and also the $500 lesson. I was trying to help an up and coming filmmaker, you know. So yeah, you know, and come to find out, like there's been a lot. Like last year, like I pruned so many relationships. Like another guy that was partnering with me, like we split ways, you know. I don't know, I just felt like last year was more of a pruning of relationships.
I pruned, I like that. Said I pruned.
Yeah, pruning a lot of relationships of people that were holding me back. Like people that weren't ready to go where I was ready to take them. So I had to just cut what wasn't growing.
You said I pruned so many relationships, but maybe you just pruned your own self. Because after all, you let those bushes grow around you for a purpose. I think most people do that though, at a certain age, at a certain part of the journey, they self-evaluate, you know, and see what is what and who is around them, and if that allows them to be their own authentic self. And if it's not, then you know you have to make some changes, and you call that pruning. Because as long as you didn't prune, you would not be your own authentic self. I think that's, what do you call it, big part of life. The biggest part of life is to find your own authentic self, meaning who are you, what are you doing, how are you serving,
and how can I stay true?
How can I stay true to myself in order for my own spirit to do what it came here to do. I do believe all of our spirits came onto earth into these bodies in order to achieve something, in order to fulfill something. And in the meantime though, we of course serve. Every single person is serving on earth in some way or another, from the Pope to the president to teachers to lawyers to engineers, everybody's serving. And it's not just serving ourselves, but I think we are all serving something greater. And that, I think that lies as I guess the dormant mystery within our own selves. It's interesting, there's that old saying, something similar to all roads go to Rome. We all take many roads going somewhere, but it eventually all goes back to its own source, whatever that is, wherever that is. And everyone has their own reality. Whatever that reality is, but that reality, I think, is what encourages us to be honest and sincere and authentic to our own self. And to honor ourselves, I guess, Honor thyself. And it's interesting when, as children, if we weren't shown these things, if the people around ourselves weren't honoring our own spirits in those little bodies that eventually get bigger, it's hard to do that for your own self as we grow, and then eventually, somehow or another, the twists in the road will bring us to the journey of self-discovery, going inward and looking for the answers from within you, not from outside of us. Because if we look for the answers from outside of us, oftentimes we are only seeing what other people think, say, do. I was listening to a wonderful little video from the English medium Elaine Thorpe when you had come in. She's so lovely. Her spirit guide, Jonathan, spoke on in regards to inner peace. And that's something. It's not easy to remember that every day.
What did our spirit guide say about inner peace?
I think just to, being human on this earth, I think we forget sometimes our own selves because we focus so much on the outside of ourselves. But I think within our own selves, there is so much, what do you call that? Everything lies within us, and for us to be connected to our own inner peace, inner selves. And then I think she was talking I didn't listen to the full thing because I didn't have a chance to, and through such things as meditation and that inner awareness, really it's there, but I think we dilute it with so many stuff.
Yeah, I was just thinking too, I think coming here, every time I come and I sit in this chair, I feel like I have so much fog, right, in my head, and I think coming here helps get rid of all the haze. It helps me see things clearer, things that really matter in life.
And that's, I think, to me that's self-realization. And coming here, if it induces that, that's wonderful. But that is really your own self, your own soul, spirit, just operating in its own way.
Because I feel like coming here helps me listen to my heart. It helps me, there's a lot of like noise, right, throughout the week. And then when I come here, it's like, no, trust yourself and listen to the core beliefs. Like, I think if I was still operating out of my trauma and my fear and all those things that get in the way, then I think it would be a different story. But I think since I've done the work and I've come out of the other side, I know what's right and I know what's wrong, and I need to trust that. And it helps me kind of listen and turn up the volume on the right channel.
And you know what? Maybe all of those things we experienced in the past, what we call trauma, were truly maybe just challenges and steps in order to come to this point.
I think they were also gifts.
Yeah, because if you had not gone through those, you wouldn't have tickled your own mind to take that scab off, it's interesting, if we didn't have traumas, challenging, bad things happen to ourselves in life, sometimes there is no going on. And the only way to grow is to challenge yourself. And sometimes we identify those challenges as bad things. But honestly, bad things do happen to good people also. Like in the book written by Harold Kushner, And sometimes through those bad things, we not only become closer to our own selves, but also become more compassionate, more loving, more caring towards other people. And I think that's what probably makes every therapist, every person that works in human service field, to go into that, not only to solve their own issues, but then to reflect on their own issues and to grow from it, and just to offer a hand to another person. In order to, I guess that's part of, it's interesting, healing. Healing occurs in so many ways, even through your own profession, as an artist, as a photographer. It's interesting, with each picture you take, you heal a certain part of you. With each picture you take, maybe you heal a part of another person. Like the artists that work here too. You look at them every day, it's like, what makes them get up, come to their studios and paint a little picture. And I guess that's also their way of healing. It's interesting, healing. I have one sweet lady, this is another case study example, who is 72, who is very sweet lady, retired nurse, very nice, lives with her son. He takes good care of her. Her husband died 2 years ago. But one day I said to her, gosh, your short-term memory is really so sometimes very poor on some days, but your long-term memory, she'll sit and tell me about living in Alaska and here and there and a lot of stuff. I said, it's so good, you can remember so many things from past. And she said to me, there's nothing in the present to be happy about for me. And the past was happy. And I thought to myself, I wonder if there's a part of her that chooses to stay in the past because there's happiness there. And the present moment, she may not want to remember. So it's interesting. And then that was 2 years ago. And every week we'll sit and talk about her missing her husband, whom she loved so dearly. They were married for 40, 50 something years. I don't remember, and when I remind her, it was 2 years ago, she'll say, "Are you sure?" I say, "Yeah, it was 2 years ago. Your son just said that this morning too." And then she'll accept that for the moment. And there's a part of her that doesn't want to believe factual stuff. And it's so cute. I told her, I said, next time I see you, we'll bring you a nice notebook and we'll write down all the answers. I said, so next time you're wondering about the same question, you can go to page 3 and look at the answer. She's so adorable. And you know what? Sometimes she'll sit there and laugh. We laugh together. It's almost like comedy. Sometimes she'll get hung up on semantics of language. Like her son will say, "Mom, yesterday," she was talking about, my son told me, "I buried Dad 2 years ago." She said, "Why did he say that to me? Did he bury him?" I said, "I don't think he buried him himself, like with a shovel."
Yeah.
I said, when people say, "I buried my mom, I buried my dad, I buried my dog," that means that, they are not officially buried them.
Yeah, they're so emotionally connected to that experience that they feel like they literally buried them.
You know what? Yes. And she said, "Well, I need to ask him today." She said, "Why did he tell me I buried Dad? Why didn't he say, I had some nice people, give him a burial?" And I said to her, listen, her and I, we laugh a lot. She laughs with me. Sometimes she catches herself. I said, "Well, let me tell you this. Listen, if he says he buried him, ask him how much he charges so I can keep his name on my list." I said, if he has nothing else to do on his free time to go dig holes, 6 foot under and 8 foot wide, I said, "Give me his name and ask him how much he charges." And she laughed. We were laughing in my car until she was crying, and I was crying, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I said, and our talks are like this. It's truly, so what do you call it? Sometimes, you know what, reality is so painful that we almost prefer to be in a different reality. Isn't that something? And that's what the sweet old lady had said to me. Well, the past was happy. And said the present. So sometimes it's easy to go into that self-victimization mode and
disassociate.
Yeah. And sometimes I wonder, now as a person's spirit, of course medical professionals will tell you it's hereditary, it's genetic, it's this, it's that. But sometimes I do wonder how much our own spirit has a, power over what reality do we want to experience. If your current reality is so painful, even like, for example, when a person is experiencing something like schizophrenia, if that reality is so painful, does the spirit kind of dissociate and enter a different reality where everything is safe and okay? And I wonder sometimes if people do that with drugs and alcohol and they just check out for the time being. But it's not permanent. So your dad is not drinking or nothing like that?
Yeah, I think he still is, actually. My mom's drinking a whole lot. She's pretty much an alcoholic, my mom.
And how does your sister deal with that, 23 years old?
I don't know. I don't know enough about what they do. They call every once in a while. I'll call them when I'm thinking about them. But I try to limit how much I talk to them, you know.
Yeah.
My dad, sometimes he'll call me out of nowhere asking me to take him to the bus stop so he can go to Mexico, and you know, so I just try to not take things they say serious, you know.
Does he call you often?
He calls me like once every couple weeks.
Do you always pick up the phone?
No. If I'm busy, I won't. Then I'll try to call back, or I forget. So my parents aren't a big priority in my life.
Yeah.
It took me a while to come to terms with that, you know.
Yeah.
Because they're like leeches.
Yeah. And that's also self-care and self-love. Dictates I also have to protect my own self.
My kids.
And
Yeah.
and there's always that. Does it ever feel like there's always that dark cloud?
Of my parents.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then too, like, I learned, you know, I probably shared too much with my kids, but they'll say like, oh yeah, you know, your dad and your mom were horrible, and they'll just randomly talk about it. I'm like, I probably shouldn't share that with you until you got older, you know. So
Yeah, and some things maybe not even worth sharing.
right, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, but I know I'm careful of sharing now with them. Like, Benaya, someone stole something from Benaya on a game, or I think in real life or something. Someone cheated him. Oh, no. He got in a fight with his best friend. And then he started, because his friend backstabbed him. But he was telling some random stranger at Cub Scouts about it out loud, and his friend was there. And I said, no, sir. Grabbed him, pulled him, and I said, that is not okay to talk about other people.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not willing to say it to their face, don't say it to other people. And he's like, I did tell him to his face. I was like, okay, but you can't be making other people look bad and talking bad about them.
Yeah.
And then I had to share with him a story of how I got backstabbed in business and I lost money, right? But I don't go around telling people their names and saying that they're a bad person. They did that. No, that's the truth always comes out. I don't have to.
That's right.
I don't have to do that, right?
That's right.
And he was like, it put it into perspective for him. So I'll share things with Benaya, but Malachi's still really young. He hasn't gone through that. He doesn't need that information. And so I'm becoming more aware of what to share with him and what to not share with him. You know, but now what I shared with him when I shouldn't have in the past years.
And that's respecting their boundaries and your boundaries too.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so, what were we talking about?
No, that's nice that you taught that valuable lesson to your son, and you may have to. Kids are kids, you know what we sometimes though, you know what we teach by role modeling to kids more than by what we say. So we teach people how to treat us, and then we teach our kids also how to act like ourselves. Isn't that something? And sometimes we act the way our parents do until we're old enough, big enough to realize that's not how I want to be. And somehow or another, we learn that, or we're guided to learning that or seeing that.
I was telling Leah, we had this party that we went to for, it was called a wrap party for this film that we just finished. And I was just telling her on the way back how, like, you know, we're so fortunate. We're driving back with our whole family, and like we're rich, you know. We have each other. We have great experiences, great people around us that love us. Regardless of what happens in the future or currently, like we are very fortunate with the life that we have.
It's nice to be aware of that. It's all too easy to think what we don't have, but to be grateful for what we do have.
I mean, we've been communicating. Our biggest thing is trying to get our credit score up. We're trying to get our credit cards to 30%, and which we had to use because I did that job and I didn't get paid for 2 months on that job, you know, and I couldn't do other work, so I was waiting on that money. So,
for being a young family, it's not easy.
Yeah, it's not easy. Yeah, so we're trying to get rid of some kids. But yeah, so we've been doing well. We're very fortunate. We're had a good break.
That's amazing, though. You and your wife have, how many years has your niece lived with you, Elazar?
6 years.
6 years. You raised another child, honestly. It's amazing, you know. That's really honorable of you guys both. I mean, that's an extra concern, extra work, extra energy. That's really honorable of you. That's amazing what you guys did at your young ages.
Yeah, it's been hard, but
you did what you had to do. There was no choice.
Yeah, for her to go into the foster system, it would have been.
Yeah, there was no choice.
Yeah, you know, like, teenage girls do so bad in the foster system. Statistically, they end up aging out of the foster care system just because they.
Yeah. No, you guys did the most honorable thing, even though it hasn't been easy. Amazing. That's really nice. And that's really nice that your wife was always and is always supportive.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's been the biggest factor, honestly. Do you have anything you want to read? Like, sometimes you read some passages or...
I always do silly stuff, huh?
Yeah, I like it.
Well, I had not thought of anything.
Like a poem or something?
You know what? This is Marianne Williamson. She has written some lovely books, by the way. This is her poem, Our Deepest Fear. And this is from her book. I think she had written Return to Love. It says, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightening about shrinking so that other people won't feel unsure around you. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone. As we let our own light shine, we consciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. And that's return to love. So often in life, we are afraid to allow ourselves to shine. Because I think if we didn't feel that as children, being little, we didn't, for myself growing up in the Middle East, we didn't want to shine so much. We didn't want to be heard so much. We didn't want to stand out so much. We learned to really be fearful of our own power. And
we learn to play small.
Yes, we do learn to play small because we think that's more safe. And of course, and then we continue that for a long time. There is nothing enlightening about shrinking so that other people won't feel unsure around you. We were born to make manifest the glory of God within us. And so, sometimes we bury our voice. We bury our voice because we think the world doesn't welcome our voice. And as we as we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates other people. And this is kind of like what you do also, even with your pictures. Fabian, as you liberated your own self, you also have a desire to liberate other people, and other people will liberate their own selves. I find that so striking. Yeah, it's nice to read this.
Yeah. It's a good reminder.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, or fabulous? It feels much more safer to keep ourselves small than to have a voice or to know ourselves so other people are not threatened. It's interesting, and especially for me as a woman. I've seen that, I think, in women for so many years. Women who keep themselves weak, maybe vulnerable or not smart, or, and everything around us kind of encouraged that in past years. So that's my poem to share with you. It's beautiful. Maybe there's a message in that. It's the second time I read it, yesterday and today.
This is the second time you've read it to me.
Maybe the message is to me also. I need to continue reading it.
Well, we can read it again next time. So.
Yeah. And you know what? I will look for something meaningful. And you know what? While you were earlier talking, I was looking at that. The moment you accept what troubles you have been given, the door will open. That was by Rumi. And you know what? Isn't that the truth? The moment you accept what troubles you have been given, the door will open. Acknowledging, I guess, the truth. The moment you accept what troubles you have been given. Maybe the troubles are just imagined by our own selves, It's not even a trouble, maybe just a challenge. But the minute we acknowledge that and see the truth in all things, the door will open, meaning maybe it's just on our thoughts open. Making all things more acceptable and digestible, so we can digest it.